Howdy, and welcome back to the Addicted Motors YouTube channel. So you might be able to tell from the tone in my voice that I'm very excited for my new recent acquisition. I take that back. I am actually excited. I just didn't need another 4x4 in my life. So I was scrolling through Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace like I usually like to do every day, all the time actually, and this truck came up. This is a 1996 Chevrolet Tahoe LT, and it was posted probably 2 or 3 weeks ago when it hadn't sold yet. And I'd made a little tab, and I was like, I don't want to buy this. And then I checked back, and it was still there. And I was like, damn it, I have to go look at it. So I did. So right off the back, what caught my eye with this particular Tahoe, or GMT400, is the PIAAs. I'm a sucker for period aftermarket editions, and this thing with the PIAA integrated fog lights, which fog lights were not an option on these trucks, really caught my attention, as well as the silver color, because I haven't really seen a whole lot of silver Tahoes, and the fact that I absolutely love these trucks. They're boxy, they're tough, they're big, they go for 300,000 miles. The 4L60LE, whatever, 4-speed transmission likes to go poof, but that's just an understated evil of this model of US square body Chevy trucks. All right, so this particular OBS Tahoe, as you like to say, is special, and it's special for one particular reason, and that is it's a one-owner truck. I mean, like, the title that I have for it is dated 1996. Like, this guy that I bought it from, Scott, spec'd this truck out. I've got 2 keys, and before we do the full walk around and start, let me show you what came with the truck. Oh, there you go. Yep, that's the old record book. Well, not so much the record book. This is the old Virginia title. It is the original order sheet and brochures. Everything that came with the truck from the dealership. Tire package. Window sticker. I mean, again, how many of these one-owner rigs am I going to find that have the original, unfortunately it's ripped, window sticker? And there you go. Look at those options too. Electric transfer case. I think it has the skid plate kit and the rear lock differential. Where is it? 4-speed, 342. Yeah, it's on there. I just don't see it. Oh yeah, locking rear differential axle. Bam. So this was a $30,000 truck back in the day. That's pretty wild. So actually, this was a pretty well-spec'd LT. Let me go through the rest of this stuff. Yeah, a lot of options for an LT edition, and that's just the beginning of it. Let's walk around the rest of the truck, and I'll kind of show you what really stood out to me. All right, so let's talk about Originality. There's little features like the fact that he still had the running boards attached, the Yakima space booster, which was actually that one, which I put on that truck, but I swapped the old one onto here. Did come with the truck, as long as the Yakima bike rack. Really interesting period stuff. Again, the vent slides, they were on there. This is a cloth seat truck as well, because it's an LT, which I really like. The cloth seats are in great condition. We'll check those out in a second. It even has, I don't know when the tires are date stamp 2016, but he's maintained the factory spec tire too, for the most part. That might be slightly upsized, but BFG Long Trails have been around for a while, so that's pretty good. Again, the PIAAs, they actually have 2 functions. I think they have like a high and a low. I'll check that out here in a second. Yeah, the running boards are still intact. It's not too rusty. Let's check out underneath. All right, not amazing, but as far as any like major rust holes or anything, it's about as clean as I've seen them recently. Has, of course, the old GMC Chevy OBS door handle, which is that's every single one of them. But let's check out inside. So check out these maybe not factory, but factory aftermarket period mats that he's got throughout. And the interior itself, no crazy wear on the bolsters. You know, everything's nice. It doesn't smell weird. If you check under these, the factory GM mats, which is pretty cool. Jumping into the cabin, a couple cracks in the dash, nothing too crazy, but all the buttons are there. Rear hatch buttons. Here's your aftermarket light buttons. Cup holders pop out as they should. Only have the one cup holder here. The swing away console works. It's all intact. Even the little notepad is obviously still there, not broken off or anything like that. There's just something about one owner trucks, cars, SUVs, sports cars that really changed the game as far as what you're getting, because for the most part, you're getting someone's car and either was lived in and maintained or just maintained. But, you know, judging by the condition of the seats and everything else in here, it's, I think it's in pretty good condition. And there's just something about these old GMC and Ford interiors, you know, they hold up, they're nice. They're I guess you could say, I mean, they just remind you of driving around in these particular types of vehicles when you're a kid. And guess what? They're still around. They're still very functional. I think they've aged very gracefully. And I might have mentioned it before, but this is a tailgate equipped truck. I can't remember which years featured the barn doors. I had a GMC Yukon, which was a 98 or a 97, which had the barn doors, which wasn't a huge fan of. I'm definitely a bigger fan of the tailgate. Again, you got the mat back here and everything, but you know, lots of space, lots of room. You know, these things weren't super high off the ground, but they have good enough clearance. Oh yeah, this factory skid plates under there. Pretty clean, no major, you know, rust holes or pitting or anything like that, at least on the frame. You know, the hood, unfortunately, is shot so much that the paint is pretty shot. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to put the effort into getting a respray, as well as the roof. You know, the rest of the truck's okay. It's a little faded, but it's going to take a little bit of time to massage, kind of back to something that's a little bit more presentable. You know, when you look around these things, obviously you can either buff out or replace the plastic headlights to kind of breathe some life into it, but I haven't done anything like that yet. So let's pop the hood and check out the old power barn. All right, so for those who know this truck, what do you think I'm looking for under here? There's two very specific things that are kind of go hand in hand with decent one-owner vehicles that have been maintained. Take a guess. And there they are. The nifty little work lights, and boop, she works. Pretty cool. These actually, they retract, they come out, so if you're doing any kind of maintenance or work at night, you can easily see. So again, it's the little things, it keeps it interesting. So I thought that was pretty good. But again, rest of the engine bay, super clean. Obviously, it looks like you put a little bit of lacquer or something on there to kind of clean it up. You know, car guys, what can you say? But again, yeah, everything looks clean, runs as it should, stops as it should, brakes as it should. I need to do a little more road testing, just to make sure the driveline and everything is secure. You know, who knows? Maybe I think the transmission is fine. I think I'm losing a U-joint in the back. I've got a pretty consistent hum around 60 to 70. It kind of goes away below and above, but only those speeds. It's kind of a U-jointy feeling hum. So that's something I'm gonna look into a little bit later. But let's go ahead and fire her up. All right, fires right up, first turn of the key, super smooth. Yeah, you see a little bit of oil building up there, but nothing major. You could use probably a valve cover gasket, or else it just wasn't cleaned well after the last time. But the AC blows cold, it seems to have good power and pickup, and obviously, you know, nothing major mechanically that I've seen that I'm too worried about. You know, even the exhaust headers aren't cracked. Something that I've kind of had as an issue for some of the other GMC Chevrolet models I've had. So now I'll show what these dual mode fog lights do. All right, so yeah, that was pretty much my quick walk around. Again, just showing off a little bit of a little more of the interior here. This was an impulse buy. This is what I was kind of looking for before I found the LR, and the price point was not too far off, honestly. The values of these decent condition Chevy, GMC, Suburban, the GMT400 models have, I think everyone's seen Hoovie's video. I've had two of these in the past, have gone up a lot. They went from being $1,500 to $2,000 trucks to much more in better condition. And again, this is not in the best condition, but it seems to be very decent mechanically. And again, it rides great. So, everyone has a story with these. It's just like a W123 or a Volvo 240, cars of a certain era, and just have a presence and a nostalgic effect that I think it's tough for even people like me to ignore when they come up for a decent price and could potentially fill a role. So the goal of this will probably be a cabin car for a little bit, put some miles on it, run back and forth up to the cabin to test out the four-wheel drive and test out the hill system, test out the hills and how it performs off-road in comparison to the Land Rovers. So that'll be kind of fun. And again, do some fuel economy tests. The owner said he was getting between 400 and 430 miles per tank on regular with the standard 23-gallon tank. So I think that's pretty impressive. I'd like to see if that's true. But again, it's a little bit of a lighter truck, and you can lock it into rear-wheel drive instead of full-time. So there is something to be said about that. So I think the next thing we're gonna do is just take it out and do a quick spin around the block and see how she runs. All right, so we're about to take this for a little spin. But the first thing when you get into one of these things, you turn it on and you're immediately relaxed. Unlike the Land Rovers and Mercedes and Range Rovers and everything. It's just, everything is as it should be. There's nothing that feels like it's really gonna break. The transmissions shift and they go into gear in a way, that feels very direct. The motors never really have a lot of ticking or anything. You're not worried about head gaskets, and I say that very broadly, but it just has a sound, that you're not listening for these certain little noises or scrapes. It is just so much more of a driver-centric experience when I'm not so worried about the truck. I think that's where I'll start off the road test. All right, pulling out in the Tahoe. So again, this is the fuel injected. This is 96 350 5.7 V8. A little bit of pedal there. That was not to the floor, but she's an old girl. I don't want to bang on her too bad. Yeah, and again, these always have great pickup. They always ride very nice. Steering's always slightly vague, but I think this is probably the first one I've driven in a while that didn't have off-road or BFG, all-terrain type tires on it. So, with the long trails or something similar to that, it really kind of changes your driving experience and really helps the handling and the on-road feel. So that is definitely kind of felt through these. The weak point is obviously the transfer case and the transmission. They've got a kind of a notorious, legend there, or actually not even notorious. It's pretty proven that they do go poof, and I say that by as far as catastrophic failure is concerned. And the other thing is brakes. Brakes leave a lot to be desired. They always do. I've driven ones with actually very low mileage before, and it still is not a great braking feel. You got discs in the front, drums in the back. Say what you will, the pedal feels pretty vague. Even, again, I've had the brake system rebuilt for that, and it still didn't feel that great. So I think it's just something, of just GMCs and Chevys of this era. Again, it stops fine, but there's usually just a little more pedal travel. So yeah, other than that, really not a whole lot of rattles or shakes. These things are, bolted together pretty well if the owner didn't mess with the plastics. You hear a little bit of rattle in the back, but that's just the fold down armrest you hear from the back seat. But everything else feels very tight. To avoid the local UPS man. But yeah, no, again, everything feels tight, everything engages. We're going to test out the 4-wheel drive system in a moment when I get to up to an alleyway here. But, you know, perfect driving experiences, perfect car, putting a lot of miles on. Like I said, I love the cloth seats, super comfortable in all weather. You don't have to worry about, you know, having to jump in hot conditions or cold conditions. They hold up well. They don't have the standard GM side bolster rip like every single leather seat does, so that's good. And the AC heat works, stereo's fine. I mean, again, there's a reason why people hold on to these things forever. Like the previous owner of this literally had it since 1996. They also had a 1984 Porsche 944, also in silver, that he had since new as well. So that gave me a better feeling to probably overpay for this, even though it's not amazing. But it made me feel a little bit better about the purchase and less like I was going to potentially be driving a ticking time bomb. You know, and another thing, what it really comes down to is, you know, this model has now eclipsed the over 20-year-old. I mean, it's obviously, hell, you could even argue it's over 30 years old for the platform and whatnot. You know, as far as this particular, you know, first gen-ish Tahoe body style and everything, and it's a usable classic, and that's what the car market, I think, that's not looking for new cars is looking for. You know, they're reliable. Every shop can service them. You can find parts in any auto parts store. Every mechanic has some knowledge of it, and it's super usable. You can tow, you can throw everything in there. You know, the things that work, and it's not overly complicated. There's no traction control systems or anything like that. Just a good old 4x4 system and a rear locker, which is a pretty exciting option. You know, not that it's not, you know, the most rare thing, but I'm pretty stoked to have it, especially because I'm thinking about doing, you know, slightly more off-road centric things with this truck. So let's go ahead and test the 4-wheel drive. Pop it in neutral. Again, this is electronically actuated transfer case. And we're gonna feel it engage. Did it engage? Oh, there it is. I can feel it now. So a little bit slow. You know, I've done it a few times, but you know, you got to think that most owners of these didn't probably use the 4-wheel drive, at least 4-wheel drive high that much. So we'll give it a little bit of exercise and switch it back and forth. You know, if you don't use it, you lose it. I think that's more prevalent with Toyota products, especially with electronically actuated transfer cases. But these, you know, I can't imagine they don't suffer the same thing. So let's do the same. Neutral. 4 low, solid clunk from the transfer case. Steering feels a little bit tighter. Got the quick shifts, obviously in a lower ratio, and we're off. That's exactly what you want to feel, and that's something you want to test before you buy it. I definitely did. I didn't do the video or anything on it just because I was kind of preoccupied with making sure I didn't totally screw myself. But it's something a lot of people forget when they're looking at trucks, to test out the 4-wheel drive system and make sure it feels healthy and the transfer case and everything shifts as it should. I haven't checked the locking rear diff. That'll be for a different video, but for now, I am pretty happy with my purchase. I don't think this is something I'm going to make a bunch of money on or anything like that. This is a pretty selfish buy. And again, it's I wanted it and it makes me happy, so I bought it. Which is not great financial decision, but I feel like I think I'll do okay long term with a good looking, pretty original Chevy truck. So that's all I got for this video, guys. Appreciate you watching. I always like to bring some non-rover content every once in a while. My taste in cars is pretty vast. We got the cheap car challenge coming up. There's the Volvo right there. Poor thing. So that's going to be the next video series going to be released after this one. Super excited about that, guys. We got 10 cars that are going out to the farm this weekend to do some rally racing, and have a couple bumps and bruises. So that's all I got for today. Feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and appreciate you watching. Thanks. Ooh. All right, about to take off here in a second, but you know, the first thing about these American trucks that hits me is how relaxing they are to drive. And I don't say that as, you know, I don't really say that as